In today's episode, I'll be giving my reaction and review of the movie Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, the second film in the Spider-Verse, released in 2023. So without a shadow of a doubt, let's dive in. Do something, man. People are questioning you. Shut up. Shut up. Okay, yep, do that. Sure, guys. Stupid and dumb. Just an idiot. Get your shit together, son. Fuck it. I loved it. Welcome to the dub cast. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse was released in May of 2023, only 15 months ago. Quick calculation there. May 30th, 2023. The genre is an American animated superhero film, obviously the sequel to Into the Spider-Verse, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. The runtime, 2 hours and 20 minutes, a little bit longer than the first one. Budget was $100 to $150 million. They don't have the financials on that yet. I don't know if we'll ever get it. The directors were Joaquim Dos Santos, Justin Thompson, and Kemp Powers. Kemp Powers worked on the first one, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I believe all three, at least two of them, will be working on the third one that's coming out. So, yeah, don't know anything else that these directors have worked on. Haven't watched anything else, so just stick along with these Spider-Man movies. They're pretty good. The movie stars Shamik Moore, Haley Steinfeld, Brian Tyree Henry, Lauren Velez, Jake Johnson, Jason Schwartzman, Issa Rae, Karan Soni, Shea Wiggum, Greta Lee, Daniel Kaluuya, Marshala Ali, and Oscar Isaac. So, as always, for every movie, I'll give my non-spoiler review, starting with a brief plot synopsis, give my review, then go into the spoilers, and my thoughts and reactions throughout the film. So starting it off with the brief plot synopsis. If you haven't seen the first one, I highly recommend going and seeing the first one. First one was pretty good. So this is obviously just following up on the first Spider-Man film. So Gwen Stacy, aka Spider-Woman from the last movie, has become lonely and estranged from her dad. Her version of Peter Parker, this is all multiverse based, is bullied essentially at high school and turns into a lizard. Well, not turns into a lizard, makes himself the lizard through like biology and shit, nerd shit, I don't know. And after that happens, he dies at the prom. An alternate version of Vulture ends up coming into her universe after, which means that the Collider is back in use from the first movie. We see the Collider in the first movie was used by Kingpin to bring back his wife and son, a different version of them. So we see that loop has been opened again, as there's an old version, I believe it's French, an old French version of the Vulture. Yeah, so the Collider's back, not good. Luckily, though, for her, she's a little outmatched by the Vulture. I thought she'd have this guy, but Vulture seems to be a little too much for her. So who shows up but Miguel O'Hara from our post-credit scene in the first movie, and Jess Drew, both alternate Spider-Man. They pull up and ask her if she needs help. Obviously, she needs help, takes the offer. They're able to defeat Vulture and take him back. They're kind of like the TVA of the Spider-Man universe, if that reference is falling on deaf ears. The TVA in the Marvel Cinematic Universe is the people who make sure all the timelines are good, and we'll see that the timelines definitely play a factor in this movie later on, but essentially they got to make sure that people like Vulture who end up in these alternate universes where they're not supposed to be don't end up causing damage and breaking up the timeline as it's supposed to be. So Gwen, in her state of her dad tries to arrest her after this because he doesn't know who she is, but then she tells him he doesn't like that she's Spider-Woman. She joins the team with Miguel O'Hara and Jess Drew, and so obviously that was going to happen, creating the whole premise of the second movie. So that's kind of where we've gone off to start. Back to our main guy, Miles Morales. He's not doing great with his new responsibilities. He's mixing them with his real life responsibilities. This seems to be a problem for every Spider-Man. They get too wrapped up with the Spider-Man aspect of it and lose out on the real life responsibilities, family, dating life, school. Seems to be a common Peter Parker problem, so Miles, of course, is going through that as well. His new villain at the start of this movie is the Spot. He was infused by portals during the explosion of the Collider, and essentially he can just travel from dimension to dimension. After Miles defeats him the first time, his basic powers are he can put spots places and use them to teleport, but he realized that he can use that to go to different dimensions and shit. So yeah, he is defeated by Miles, then dips to another universe, so out of sight, out of mind. but who comes back to Miles' universe. But Gwen, they hang out for a little bit, but she's on the look out for the Spot actually because he's fucking with the dimension. So they need to figure out that, or her team needs to figure out that aspect of it. And Miles and her kick it back a little bit, chill. Obviously, Miles is a major simp, which we'll talk about in a second, but it's not long lived because they find the Spot has gone to another dimension. Miles is not supposed to come with Gwen because Gwen has the watch, but once they end up in a different universe, Miles breaks the continuum of everything by coming. First of all, just coming with Gwen onto this mission into another universe, and he also saves Pavitr Parbarkar's father when they are supposed to die as part of the canon. So there's this huge thing with the Spot. They find where the Spot is gone. Peter tags along with them. Not Peter, Miles tags along with them. He screws everything up by saving the dad. The dad was supposed to die, so now that the dad has lived, the whole universe is different. Everything's different. Essentially, he's taken back to the universe where all these Spider-Men who reside and try and save the timelines are. Before that, he sees a vision of his dad dying at the hands of Spot, and then he's taken back to this universe where all the Spider-Men reside. So that's where I'll leave it for the non-spoiler. Kind of a weird plot where to leave it, but I didn't know where to leave it. So yeah, if that's interesting to you, if I'm speaking gibberish, if you're watching this and you haven't seen the movie, then I don't know what to tell you. Just go watch it because, yeah, we'll get into the review now. So my overarching review of the film, I thought this one was another awesome movie. I think it's better than the first one. I think Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is better than Into the Spider-Verse. I think there was way more going on. The characters, we got to know them a lot better, spent more time with them. Not saying that the first one's runtime was short or anything, but it just felt like we really got in depth with our characters in this one. Shout out to the person who plays Miles, Gwen, and Oscar Isaac for his performance as well. They just had awesome performances in both movies. Really shined out in this one, I thought. Third movie I think is going to be awesome, and the animation was on par with the first film, and was just as awesome with different styles. Really modern. Obviously, animation. This coming out just a year ago in 2023. I felt like the plot had more to it, as I mentioned before. This time around, I felt like that made it better. I thought the storyline in the first one was a little bit simplistic. I thought that there was going to be more involved in that movie. Not to, I am nitpicking because we're picking between two of the same movies basically. But I just thought this one was more involved and had more to it. So the complicated emotional story between Miles and his parents, Gwen and her dad, and just all the interactions between all the characters are really cool. Obviously, you're building on the first one, so all those relationships come back into play. It was awesome to see the other Spider-Man back in the movie as well. They were all different. Even like a quadrillion versions of Spider-Man, just awesome animation, and get to see the different multiverse Spider-Mans. And so we see other Spider-Man return to the fray. I believe Tobey's in this movie. Sony Spider-Man's in it from the video game. Our people from the first one, the whole team's back. I guess they got a little bit of Avengers team assembling with the Spider-Man. Soundtrack was amazing as well. These soundtracks have been really top tier for these movies. So the only thing that held it back for me was the ending. I just think that the ending was weird, a weird place to leave it. I get it, you're setting up for a third one, but I don't like non-definitive endings and cliffhangers, especially in movies when you're setting up for a trilogy. Like, and now we have to wait for a couple years. Like, I've watched this late and I still have to wait a couple years. Like, I feel like they could have done a better job with the ending. It kind of leaves you like, okay, like, I see where we're going with this, but we have to wait. Like, why can't we have a definitive ending to any parts of the story, really? It's like, I mean, nothing really ends. I guess it's kind of just a part one and part two situation. So, I don't know. I didn't like the ending, the way they ended it. So that'll keep it from being a 9 for me. It's just too open-ended and we have to wait forever. I don't feel like any of the storylines wrapped up. Also, the scene where he just beasts like hundreds of Spider-Men and just dips away, and then when he's been a Spider-Man for like a couple months, I'm not sure about the realism of that. So I still love this movie. Where I landed on it, I gave it an 8.9. Very high regards. Not quite a 9, but right up there. So let's pull up the Dubcast graphic and compare it to the other movies we've reviewed. So this will be the second best movie reviewed so far, only behind Wind River, the only 9 on the list. Highest of the 3 Superman movies. Now we have 3 to go off, beating notably Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse by 0.4, 8.9 versus 8.4, or 8.5, sorry. So 0.4 difference there. And then Deadpool and Wolverine was a 7.8, so this is the highest of those 3 movies. And yeah, this movie gets the highest possible score for an 8, and now 7 and 8 are the highest populated score categories. So, am I being soft? Am I giving these movies too high reviews? That'll be something we have to worry about. So, yeah, 8.9 for this one. Feel pretty good about that score. What would you guys give it out of 10? And what do you think of my score? Am I too high? Am I too low? Am I just right? So, now we will move on to the spoilers of the movie. So if you haven't seen this movie and want to go see it after that, let's go for it. But don't listen to this because I'm about to spoil the whole movie. So Miles is brought to a secret universe of Spider-Man, meeting back up with old friends. I mentioned that before from the first movie. It turns out Miguel O'Hara is the total leader of this society. He's had a tough history on his own where he had to watch his kids die. He had to go try and save them in the other universe. He has a whole backstory. Um, but Miles is essentially imprisoned due to his unwillingness to go back to his own universe, and he doesn't want to go along with the canon events of his story where his dad dies. He escapes and is pursued by everyone in the society, somehow escaping them all. Miguel tells him he was never supposed to even be Spider-Man. The spider from that bit him was not from his universe originally, and that universe has no Spider-Man now. But Gwen stands up for him, but she is sent back to her own universe as well. Miles, when he tries to get back to his universe, he gets sent back to the universe that has no Spider-Man because the spider, I don't know, there's some sort of thing there. It's not really hard to figure out, but I don't feel like explaining it. While Gwen ends up in Miles' home universe due to this guy leaving her a watch so she can travel. And in Miles, the universe that Miles is in now, his uncle is alive while his dad is dead in this one, but he meets himself, the version of himself in that universe, who is the Prowler. So cool parallel there. One version he's Spider-Man, next one he's Prowler. And then Gwen in her universe assembles a team to go and save Miles. Most of the people from this movie that we got to meet and the Spider-Man from the first movie. So we have Oscar Isaac's Miguel O'Hara looking for Spider-Man in his universe. We have Gwen assembling a team in that universe as well, and we have Miles in a totally parallel universe with a version of himself as the Prowler and his uncle alive, but no Spider-Man in that universe. So kind of a little bit confusing ending there, but that's how this one ends out. So after we got through that, let's go into my thoughts and reactions throughout the film. So starting it out, I thought this was a really interesting way to start this one out. We get Gwen's backstory, what she's been up to since the first one. Thought we'd see Miles for sure, but Gwen has hurt Miles somehow by leaving him. She knows that not visiting him, not seeing him is hurting him. After they had a little bit of special connection in the first one, but she's gonna try and live on her own somehow. We get the tragic story for Gwen's Peter. Turned into a lizard. He just went menace after being bullied. I respect it. Can't take no bullies shit. He shows up at prom, which is funny, but essentially he's defeated by Gwen. Her dad's also a cop like Miles, and they want her to be brought in because people in the Spider-Man universe just can't trust them right off the bat. They want them to be pulled in. They think they're criminals. But Miles' dad really wants justice for Peter Parker because they were dating, her and Peter Parker, and he's killed by the Spider-Woman, even though it's he's the lizard. So moral dilemma. Basically, Gwen's in the right, Peter's in the wrong, but her dad thinks that she's in the wrong because Peter was a good kid and died. Even you can see that he turned into a lizard. So that's the whole prognosis of that storyline. So as I mentioned before, old version of the Vulture comes in. I love these different versions of Spider-Man and the Spider-Man villains that show up throughout these films. Especially this one was like a French Vulture from the 1940s or something. So it's cool to see the different variations of both villains and Spider-Man in the film. We got our intro of Miguel O'Hara. He's the keeper of the multiverse. His backup is Spider-Woman. She's pregnant with a motorcycle. I believe her name is Jess Ross. I wrote it down. Hold on. Yeah, she's cool. I thought she was going to be cooler at the beginning. She seems like the one who has to save everyone. But Jess Drew, sorry. But yeah, she kind of goes on the back burner after this scene in the movie. She's still pretty prevalent, but not totally prevalent. But still cool to see a pregnant woman version of Spider-Man riding a motorcycle. Fuck it, let's do it. So the day is saved, essentially. Obviously, 3 Spider-Man versus 1 Vulture. This should be easy. I don't know how 1940s Vulture just reamed him to start, but whatever. We don't need to talk about that. So Gwen is also able to prevent a burning helicopter from falling into the building where they are, killing people. So, Spider Woman saves the day, right? Good job, Spider Woman. Yeah. Nope. Dad still wants to arrest her. Dad was just being an asshole this whole time. He's pursuing her when she doesn't need to be pursued. She clearly just saved a ton of people with the other Spider-Men, and they're like telling the dad like, "Hey, she's good, but we still need to pull her in because Peter Parker." And it's a standoff between her dad and her. The good old point the gun at your daughter, but you don't know it's your daughter. She unmasks, and he's shocked. He had no idea. How about you go knock on her door? I guess teen girls like you can't do that, but yeah, I don't know, bro. Like, how do you not know? Have any clue? I guess these parents aren't the greatest parents, and I mean, well, it's hard to be a parent of a teen. I won't speak on this. I don't want to get in trouble. But he's shocked. He's like, "Whoa, Gwen, you're Spider-Man. Wow. Let me still arrest you, bro. Like, come on now, have some sympathy, man. At least have a conversation." He's like, wow," and then boom, let's go get arrested, dude. I mean, yeah, you're only family in this life, and at least let her explain herself. Damn. But I guess not. Miguel comes to the rescue, saves her, brings her to the universe. They give her a device. I was confused what this was, but it's the little watch where you can travel between dimensions. So she's part of the team, joined the Spider-Man to save the multiverse team. Good job, Gwen. Yeah, so that's where we leave off with Gwen's little intro. I don't know, when I first saw the Gwen scene, I was like, I don't know if I rock with this because I want to see my boy Miles, what he's up to. But decent intro to the movies. I feel like it's, looking back on it now, it sets everything up, so I'm okay with it. So back in Miles' universe, we meet Spot. He commits his crime with spots. Pretty simple name for a pretty simple guy. He's just got spots that can dimension you to different portals, and I mean portal you to different dimensions, and well, within your own dimension, he can like put one here and your light comes out here, that type of thing. Interesting theory. Not theory. Interesting villain. Not sure if this is comic book relevant. I'm not a big comic book guy, so I don't know if there's a spot in the comic books, but this is where we get reintroduced to Miles, who apparently in the time we've missed has guest hosted Jeopardy. Okay. I feel like, don't want to be doing that if you want to keep a low profile, but Miles seems like maybe he just wants the fame and the fortune that comes with it to start off the bat. So do your thing, bro. Still hasn't told his parents, of course, that he is Spider-Man. Shocker. They don't really tell their parents until they have to tell them. And yeah. So as I mentioned before, bro is simping majorly with pictures of Gwen. He has like a quintillion in his notebook. It's like a notebook and it's just pictures of her. Bro, like there's other fish in the sea. You're at high school. You're at a private school. Go out there, meet people. Don't be worried about a girl who you should have never seen again. She goes to a different universe. The loop's closed. I guess at the end of the first movie we saw the hand reach out and whatever, but she's leading him on through that. That's bullshit, Gwen. You shouldn't have done that because now he's just simping for you a million times over. Come on, bro. So he gets Spot trapped, and Spot seems like a hard villain to finish. Like, how would you end this? But he just ties him up like a quintillion times. So he's like hanging from buildings and stuff. I don't know. Like, it seems like that would be a pretty hard task to do. He can, Spot at the beginning is very goofy, like doesn't really know what he's doing, but I think in the third movie, he's going to be a force to be reckoned with. He's going to be a menace. So, back to home life for Miles. He's looking at colleges right now. He's missing out on a guidance counselor meeting because he's fighting Spot. His guidance counselor reads his grades out, and his parents get way too mad at him for having just one B. High school, when you think back on it, was it really that hard? Obviously, no, but, do you wish you goofed around more in high school? I know I do. So just having all A's and one B, I don't think that's pretty bad. That's like a 3.7 at least GPA. If it's all honors, like, come on now. But the guidance counselor's like, we can salvage this. Girl, he can get into like whatever he wants. I know people in high school who I was in class with, and I mean, maybe I don't know their grades because grades aren't public information, but you gotta assume there's a couple B's in there. Like a B is okay. And you don't want to be one of those people who gets all A's, bro. Like, you gotta have a couple B's in there. Keep humility. I never got a C. I'll say that, but I didn't try that hard. I wasn't, I didn't take away from my social life or take away from my um, recreational life playing sports and stuff. I played three sports, three-sport athlete, four-sport athlete in one season actually. But bro, like, have some fun, man. I don't like his parents for this. Like, they're being a little too strict here. Other parts of the movie they're justified, but having one be in Spanish, I mean, I get it, it's your language, but why don't you talk to him in Spanish then? Do it on your own. Yeah, this is not cool, bro. I didn't like that part for the parents. So, also, part two, here we go. New Jersey is too far from New York. What? People who live in New Jersey go to school in New York. It's like 10 minutes away. They go to work in New York. It's a train ride away. It's a subway away. That's too far for you? What, he has to go to NYU? He has to go to, I don't even know there are New York schools. St. John's? Like, what are we doing, bro? Like, I respect if you have a list of schools and you put a box and say, like, you can't go this far, but let the kid at least go to Rutgers. Like, come on. Rutgers, Tony Soprano, they got football, they got Big Ten football. Come on, bro. This whole scene was ridiculous by the parents. Obviously you want the best for your kid and you want specific things for them, but don't be so controlling. That is going to lead him to want to rebel and get out and do different things. So lighten up, parents. I hope they do in the third movie. I think they will now because they've missed him for a while and he's been gone in another dimension. But this was like, whoa, let's take a step back. Let's chill. Yeah, so too much there. So we find out Spot somehow created Spider-Man. He made the spider and was in the collider when Miles blew it up. That's convenient. I thought when I've seen stuff about this movie, I didn't know any of the spoilers or anything. Obviously when it came out, people were hyping it up a lot, so I just saw stuff. I thought the villain was gonna be uh, Invisible. What's his name? Mr. Invisible. The guy. Oh, Mr. Negative. I think from the Spider-Man video game, the first one, because I just played that. I thought it was gonna be Mr. Negative, but it's Spot. This Spot storyline seems a little convenient. Like, he created Spider-Man by making the spider. I guess that part makes sense. But how did it? I don't know. I guess he's we'll go with it. But he was a normal guy. Now he's only has spots in him. He's black and white. So obviously he's very frustrated with the world and needs to take it out on Spider-Man. So, Miles and his dad end up teaming up to take down Spot once he gets out of his first trap. And also now just realizing that I wrote that down, or I wrote this down, this quote, you're supposed to catch the bad guys. I always do, usually. That's part of a Gas song. And this soundtrack on Spotify, like half the songs aren't even in this movie, but they're fire. So go check out this soundtrack as well. What's that song called? It's with Future. It's so good. I literally bumped that. That might be my Spotify Wrapped, or it wasn't my Spotify Wrapped. All the Way Live. That one, banger. I think this from this song too, or this quote is in that song too. So All the Way Live, Future. Check it out, banger. We don't talk music on this channel usually, but good song right there. So good to see that quote. Always love seeing quotes and memes play out right in front of your face. They've been using forever, or listening to forever. So that was cool. So Miles, talking to his dad through the Spider-Man mask. Obviously, you have the whole thing like his dad doesn't know, but he is talking to him because he is Spider-Man, but his dad doesn't know he's Spider-Man. So there you go. Spot, meanwhile, is traveling the multiverse, ends up in the old times, outside of animation in real life, in Lego, in the Lego universe. So this was cool, especially the Lego universe. And to see him in real life too. I like how they mixed the animation and also real life. So it's like you see Tobey Maguire, you see the real life with Spot in it. So I really thought that they did a really good job with Spot in the scene, like traveling different universes. I thought this was a cool thing to see with the animation. So I like that part. But Miles is late, of course, to his appointment. He's not to his appointment now. His dad just made captain, so they're having a party, and he's late to the party. Supposed to bring the cakes, but flying around with webs and going after Spot with the cakes, not good. So the cakes are ruined. He's grounded for 2 months. Ouch. This is 2023, parents. But, reasonable grounding, I think. It's just like when you can't provide excuses, it seems like he's, out there doing bad things. I mean, they see him with Gwen in a bit. But, Miles is down in the dumps, grounded for 2 months. Fair punishment. I don't know. Seems a little much, but, different strokes for different folks, parents-wise. So 2 months for showing up late. But when he's all down bad in his room, guess who shows up to lead him on more? Gwen. Um, Takes his collectible out of the wrapping. I have Funko Pops. If you take those things out, they become worthless. Like he's had it for years. We talked about it in Succession when Naomi broke Rava's bottle that she had for years from her thing. Don't go into people's room and touch stuff. Like I don't like this from Gwen. She also sees the simp drawings immediately, of course, because she's nosy. I mean, that's on Miles. He shouldn't have done that, and wrote like millions of pictures of her. And she gets him to leave the apartment when he's supposed to stay and be grounded for 2 months. So not good. Three things right there. Red flags. So she drops some sort of device that also looks like a camera. So she's like keeping recon on him. This is sus. I don't know what this was about. It doesn't really get. I don't think it's answered in the rest of the movie. But Gwen off to weird vibes coming back in this universe. Obviously, she was gonna come see him, but just weird vibes going on so far. So yeah, she's chilling upside down on this building. This was a good scenics for the movie. They kind of vibe out on the top of this building, just upside down. We get to see the whole, city of New York. So cool scene there. Obviously, the animation and the visuals were awesome. Once again, can't say enough about it. So this scene was just part of that. So Miles' parents pull up to them and find them. Mad awkward. Then she's got to leave to go get Spot, and she Miles is thinking about telling his mom, but eventually balks at it, and his mom gives an emotional speech to him about the little boy staying as part of him. This pulls in the old heartstrings. I almost cried in the first movie with the dad talking outside of the door, seeing to him, but this one didn't make me cry, but was still pretty sad to see. His parents do love him, and respect for that. And yeah, it's hard to be a kid growing up, and you want to be nice to your parents and keep the good part in you, but you got to grow up too, and you got to different convo for a different podcast, but you get the point of it. So Spot has somehow vaporized himself in this building that is in Miles' universe. Miles, of course, has followed Gwen and is stalking the conversation with her. She tells the team, I'll never see him again. She says goodbye, Miles, under her breath, like to the air, but he's invisible. It's right in front of her. So basically, she said that to his face, but she doesn't know that she's saying it to his face. Of course, Miles chases, come on, bro, not smart. You mean you're grounded? You have all this, he doesn't give a shit about anything in his own universe. He just cares about Spider-Woman. I mean, I guess he's, a teenager, you do what you do, but, your mom, your dad, your friends at school, your job that you don't have, sorry, but being Spider-Man in your own universe, come on, bro, stick around for a while. But, movie plot armor, he's got to go. There's a million fish out there, I mentioned again, but that point is moot, obviously. So we enter Pavitr Pabarker's universe, and Pav is a boss. Something bad happens with Hobie, so Hobie's everyone's roommate / friend. Miles has one as well in his universe. Something bad has happened with him, maybe not. But we come to find out Gwen has been hanging out with Hobie as well in this universe. So, Miles, what does that mean? And this isn't the first time we find this out, but, she maybe is leading on all these Spider-Men to think that she wants to be with them when she doesn't really want to. So, keep your eyes out, Miles. You never know what these Spider-Women are up to. So the collider goes off. Miles gets the vision about his dad dying. Building falls on him. He basically dies through Spot. And I didn't really know what this meant at the time. We come to find out later that basically every Spider-Man's dad has to die in the universe. Tough. I like his dad, so I hope this doesn't happen. And that'll probably be the quintessential part of the third movie is, will he let the building fall to save the universes, or will he, I can already write the script myself. Anyways, back into this universe with Pavitr. So Miles saves the day by saving the police inspector Singh, who is the dad of Pavitr Parker, or Gwen Stacy. I don't know. I lost track at this point. He's someone's dad, important. I think it's Pavitr Parker's dad because, yeah, why else would it be? Important. So saving him breaks the canon. He's supposed to be the important person that dies in his life, and without that, now doesn't have the traditional Spider-Man arc that every other Spider-Man has. But the damage has been done. The Spider-Man who come save the universe come back to patch up the quantum holes. Miles is wanted back at HQ and we get to visit Spider Society. It looks dope as hell, man, with all the different Spider-Man. Insomniac slash Sony slash PS4 Spider-Man cameo is hype, and Gambino as Prowler. Awesome reference there. So this was kind of just a cool obviously, well, now the last two Spider-Man movies that have been out there, Spider-Man 3 in the MCU was with all the cameos, and now this one has cameos too, so really good cameos here. They don't lean on it too long. They don't bring them into the movie like the MCU. We actually get to just see them, be like, oh, wow, cool, and then that's it. Well, we see Gambino again, but that doesn't matter. So, old Spider-Man from the first movie is back here. He was the one who didn't want to have kids with Gwen, couldn't commit to commitment. The one who was with Jake Johnson, the one who's with Miles originally. He has his kid. He's a nice little pressure breaker with Miguel, because Miguel's obviously upset with Miles for all of his actions and breaking the canon. Good to see he was able to have his kid with his Gwen, and it seems like he's back in his confident self, so good for the old Spider-Man. A police captain close to Spider-Man always dies in each Spider-Verse, so maybe it's not just dad, but uncle, father, aunt, woman cops 2024. So let's not be sexist. But yeah, police captain, his dad, Miles' dad, just made captain. He obviously just saw the vision that Spot will end up dropping a building on his dad. So this really tweaks him out. Obviously, what would you do if what would you do in this situation? How, you got to be all worried out. So Miguel, his backstory, he replaced a version of himself that was dead. He had a family, so he replaced that version with himself, but he was wrong, and the universe was destroyed because, multiverse things. But it makes sense because only that dad was supposed to be in that, only that Miguel was supposed to be in that universe, but now he's trying to want it all, like Kingpin. So that fucked up that universe, totally destroyed universe. So if Miles starts to break the canon of his universe, we could see what could happen there. So he essentially has to let his dad die or let the world fall apart. Just an average teenage choice. I'm kidding. Tough choice for Miles. I wonder what he's going to do. He's going to obviously try and do both, but either that'll be dispelled quickly or something will happen where it has to be one of them. I think that's my prediction for the third movie. Not really a crazy take, but obviously just an easy premise to do for the third movie. So Penny is back as well from the first movie. They trick him and trap him into the shield thing, but he gets out using his invisible slash electricity powers. They do the recreation of the meme that they also did in the post-credit scene in the first one when Miles is like, get Spider-Man. They're like, they all look at each other like, that classic 3 Spider-Man meme. Good one there. Funny to recreate that meme. Somehow Miles evades hundreds of Spider-Man and Chase, cuts the web from Gwen. Just every Spider-Man possible is coming after him, but he can't. He just gets away easily. I mean, I know he has OP powers with the electricity and the invisibility, but he doesn't even go. I don't think he even goes invisible that much in this scene. So Miles, right up there in the top tier of heroes, bro. He was able to escape away from all these Spider-Men, so he might be OP as fuck. So that might be something to watch out for in the third movie because he's only been Spider-Man for a couple months and just dipped out on like 500 of them. Emotional moment here where he says he wants to be with the other Spider-Man so badly. He wants to be part of the team, but now that he's like a misfit, really, they don't accept him, especially Miguel's hard on him, and this is a hard one to watch. Just, want to be one of the guys / girls, but it's not going to be today. He's excluded for now. So, yeah, they tell him you're an anomaly, the original anomaly, a mistake. So ever since Miles was bit by the Spider-Man, everything's been going wonky. All the timelines are screwed up. That's what maybe allowed them to use the collider and things like that and figure that out, because now that he screwed that up, everything's allowed to be screwed up. But if he's actually an anomaly, then why does his dad need to die if he's the Spider-Man? So that's my big question is, if Miles was not supposed to be Spider-Man, then how would his dad not dying screw up anything up because he wasn't supposed to be Spider-Man? Or now that he is Spider-Man, his storyline gets wrapped up in the canon and now his dad has to die. But I don't know, maybe I need to look up a video on this. I feel like that doesn't really connect with the two things here in the two, areas. But what do I know? Just sit back and watch the multiverse. This is Marvel in 2023. No, but this is, I'm just kidding. I'm playing around. So, yeah, he beats Miguel also with electricity, which Miguel is the leader of the Spider Society, big man, the most powerful Spider-Man. Well, no, I don't think, that's maybe a little bit me capping, but he just beats them with electricity. So when he escapes back to his own dimension, that scene also had crazy animation, awesome animation. Saw a thing on the press that these workers were overworked, but they did a really good job. I want to give them credit. I hope they were paid for their proper work. This was an awesome animation scene and that I'm talking about right now, but also this whole movie. So hoping those rumors aren't true. Maybe there's only a couple people, but animation video games sucks when you got to make deadlines and do things like that. So hoping they figure that out for the third movie. Everyone gets paid for their time. Gwen is also sent back to her own dimension because she's trying to help out. Can't play both sides, Gwen. Got to go back to your own dimension. Gwen's dad all of a sudden is acting guilt-free. Like, come on, bro, you were mad. You weren't cool. And we remember the beginning of the movie when you were being annoying and like stingy and all that. So now he's so moody. He's quitting being a captain, but he tells her, "You're the best thing I've ever done." So good to see that he's had a realization over her absence. Just an emotional scene again. These father and Spider-Man scenes are tearjerkers, I'm thinking about it now. No, I'm just kidding. But another emotional one. Hubie, who left like mid-film, also left a watch here for Gwen to escape. So she's on the lookout now for Miles. Miles, back in his universe, says, "You know what? I've been through a lot. I'm gonna tell my mom that I'm Spider-Man," but he's in the wrong dimension. He's in some dimension where his uncle Aaron's a drug dealer. There's no Spider-Man. His dad is dead. Obviously, this is the one where the spider came from that was supposed to bite Peter Parker but didn't, so now everything's screwed up. His mom has no idea who Spider-Man even is because there's no Spider-Man in that universe. So, wonder if Miles will go back and tell his parents now for real in the third one. I wouldn't be surprised if he did. Didn't seem like this was too hard of a conversation, but that might have been just because his mom didn't even know who Spider-Man was. So pretty easy to get off that one because she doesn't even know what he's talking about. Like he's like delusional or something. So Gwen meets back with Miles' original's parents, looking for Miles. They sort of reconcile. They didn't trust her at the beginning, but she's like, "Just follow me. I know. Like we gotta do this. We gotta find him. Blah blah blah." So maybe she inadvertently told him about him being Spider-Man. I don't remember, but Miles definitely gonna have a tough convo when he comes back to his universe with his parents. Miles is with Uncle Aaron, and Uncle Aaron starts bumping "Ain't No Love in the Heart of the City." Respect, love that song. Play that all the time. I think it's Bobby something on that one, but awesome song there. But yeah, Uncle Aaron's all sussed out because he's different Miles, ties him up to a punching bag, and turns out his version in this universe of Miles Morales is the Prowler. So that's where we leave off with him. Prowler's got him, looking at him, interviewing him, but Miles breaking free. He might get out. So obviously he's going to get out in the third movie. So we'll see what happens with Prowler version of Miles and Miles. Gwen, on her side, is recruiting the old Spider-Man, Peter Parker. She recruits old Spider-Man, the one who has the kid. Hype, get the team back together, and I think they get Pemi, Pavither, Hobie. They got the whole squad together coming. So I'm sure we'll even meet even more Spider-Man in the third movie. But gang's all here. We ready. So new gang of Spider-Man ready. New Avengers team. Let's go get it into the third one. I forget what it's called, but that one should be solid. And yeah, just wish this wasn't a first part one of whatever. This might be a trilogy. I don't know how many movies they're making, but I wish this wasn't like a cliffhanger into the one where we wait 5 years. That was my biggest complaint in the movie. So that'll wrap it all up, man. Can't say enough good things. Also have some bad things to say, but 8.9. Thought it was a solid movie. Really liked it. What did you guys think? I already asked that, so I'll keep it brief. Just love this movie. Can't wait for the third one, man. We'll be doing it on the channel when it comes out. If it ever comes out, I think it's 2026. We'll be here, hopefully. So, new podcast to expect. Succession, Season 4, Episodes 1 through 5. Boom. Done. Need to record that one, but that should be one of the next two. Also had a new episode that will be debuting on the Dubcast, but I need to go back and listen to an hour and a half of footage before that one gets released. Don't want to spoil that one yet because I feel like people might actually be interested in this one. Maybe. I don't know. But other than that, NFL, NCAA, I'm not sure. I don't think I'm going to do just exclusive NCAA podcast, but when the NFL starts, I'll give some picks for NCAA as well. So NFL, I'm going to try and pull a guest on here. Need to figure out my schedule for that, figure out what we're doing as it starts in like 7 or 10 days. So excited for the NFL season, excited for the end of Succession, excited for other movies that we're watching. So thank you guys as always for tuning in. Stay tuned for more content. Sorry for the little hiatus. I've been busy in the last week or so. So yeah, summer's over. It's time to clock in. After I finish Succession, we're going on a movie run. We're going crazy. I got 80 movies on my list. Who knows what'll happen. So thank you guys for watching to the end. Loyal Dubcast supporters, thank you. You guys, if I don't post for a week or something, just know I'm never quitting. This is my escape from the Matrix. I'm getting out. Just kidding if my employer is somehow watching this. But one day the Dubcast will make it, and it's because of you guys supporting me, liking, disliking, commenting, subscribing, following on Spotify, 5-star ratings. So appreciate you. And as always, be easy.